Hello there.
Hey guys, it's me, Star Wars Dude here, and today I'm going to be going into Forces of Destiny, and I was actually out of town when Forces of Destiny aired on YouTube, and so I couldn't make videos on them, but you guys probably didn't notice my absence because I made videos in advance and I was just periodically releasing those while I was gone. So yeah, now I'm back. And now I'm going to individually review the 8 shorts that are out. I think the next 8 are going to come out in fall, so I'm going to review the first half of Force of Destiny, my complete thoughts on the series as a whole, and then individual reviews for each episode. Let's get into it. Let's start with episode 1, Sands of Jakku. This episode was not the best first impression for the series. I like that Daisy voiced Rey. That's a plus. Both Rey shorts take place during The Force Awakens, so I guess that's kind of limits where their shorts can be in the course of the time. I like how they use that alien that was in 1 second of The Force Awakens, you know, that BB-8 kind of rolled past in the beginning of TFA. But this episode just came off as really pointless and unnecessary. Something that I like, something that I don't like about the show as a whole is that it feels like deleted scenes from the movies or shows. This just felt completely pointless. Rey encounters the Night Watcher worm that I mentioned, and escapes with BB-8, and then the worm is sad and she feeds it, and there isn't even a lot of action in this one. It just felt unneeded. I'd give this one a 3 out of 10. Next up, BB-8 Bandits. Sadly, the second Rey short comes off the same way. It improved a bit from its predecessor by having a bit more action. It still feels unnecessary, but I did enjoy this one slightly more than the last. Maybe if they were restricted to just the TFA timeline, they could have had Rey explore the Dakwar base in that small amount of time before she leaves to go to Ahch-To. That would have given us more time to see the Resistance and how they operate, because that was kind of glossed over in the film, instead of just seeing too much of a place we've already seen enough of and already got that place in the last short. Anyway, I'll give this a 5 out of 10. Third short is Ewok Escape. This was the first Leia short, and it was enjoyable. Contrary to the first 2 shorts, this short felt like something that should be explored, and it was cool to see Endor and the Ewoks once again. In the time where Wicket was walking Leia to his village, it also explains how Leia got her Force dress, which was a necessary and worthy thing to explore in a short. The only thing I could really gripe about is the voice of Leia. If you compare Carrie's voice in Return of the Jedi and her voice in the short, they don't match up. I don't see why they couldn't bring back a Rogue One or Rebels actor to do the voice for her. I think Julie Dolan, who voiced her in A Princess on Lothal in Rebels, would have done a fine job, and I don't see why they could get Felicity Jones as Jyn and Daisy Ridley as Rey, but couldn't get Julie Dolan. Anyway, this short was an improvement over the past 2, and I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. The 4th episode is called The Padawan Path and stars Ahsoka. I've been looking forward to the ones with Ahsoka the most because she's my favorite character of the 8 in the bunch. This episode is by far the best out of the first 4 that premiered. First of all, it had been a while since we've seen Clone Wars content on the screen in general for a long time, so seeing Coruscant and hearing Ahsoka's younger voice was really nostalgic for me. I enjoyed the action in this episode and how she was running late to a ceremony. Anakin and Yoda's faith in her was humorous, and I just loved seeing this air again. But a huge gripe I have with the episode as a whole is Anakin's look. I've been dismissive of the difference in look for the other shorts because of the art style, but this is irrefutable. Anakin looks almost feminine as his hair is the wrong color and his lips are just a little too big. And the biggest gripe I have with the design is no scar. His scar isn't even there. Now for me, this is unacceptable. The scar is the trademark for Anakin's look in the Clone Wars, and it's just not there. Don't get me wrong, I love the episode, but when I first saw Anakin, I was amazed. Like, how could someone look at that and say that's what Anakin looks like? It makes the hologram of Anakin in Rebels look good. Anyway, this one gets an 8 out of 10 for me, and it would be even more if Anakin didn't look so terrible. Next up is Beasts of Echo Base. This one is entertaining. Honestly, after this one especially, I'm not a huge fan of the short method. Everything feels too rushed for me to care, and there's not enough time to get the amount of depth I want. But anyway, this short was enjoyable. Leia rescues Chewbacca from a Wampa and distracts it while Chewie and R2 fix the door the Wampa could escape from. I like how Leia knows that the creature must not escape, so she chooses to risk her own life and distract it so that it does not wreak havoc on Echo Base. My favorite part about this episode was how they brought back the concept from one of the Empire's deleted scenes, and where the Wampas in the base break loose. I like how they revisited that concept. I like the voice actors for Leia a little bit more in this episode. She sounded slightly more like Leia in The Empire Strikes Back, but I still kind of wish they brought back Julie Dolan, or someone that just sounded a bit more like Leia did in the original trilogy. I rate this as 6 out of 10. The Imposter Inside. This is a Padme episode, really, but it had Ahsoka in it as well. I liked this episode. It had enjoyable action and dialogue between Padme and Ahsoka, who had to face off against a changeling who was pretending to be one of Padme's handmaidens. Ahsoka and Padme worked well together, and it was a fun team-up. There's not a whole lot to say about this episode, but I enjoyed it because it was set in the Clone Wars era, which we haven't seen a lot of lately, and we got to see some more from Padme and Ahsoka. I'll give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. The Stranger. Not much to this episode. Jyn is on Gorella, a familiar planet from Rebels, which was honestly nice to see again. And Jyn saves this little girl and her cat from a squad of stormtroopers. Jyn just saved the cat, fought a few troopers. That's it. Little happened at all. I like that Felicity came back as Jyn, but not much else happened. I mean, I don't know. I was not compelled by this episode at all. And honestly, Jyn telling that little girl her name at the end just felt really forced and out of character. Because Jyn seems like a person that would not want to give up her identity. Especially to, like, people on the streets that would probably break easily under to interrogation and stuff, you know? Like, Jyn just seemed really out of character to me in this episode. I mean, I get it. She probably saw herself in this girl and saved the kid and the cat, but, like, telling her her name, like, full name, I didn't see it. This one gets a 4 out of 10. The 8th episode and final addition to the first half of Force of Destiny episodes is called The Bounty of Treble. This episode is also set in Gorel and is slightly better than the last episode that was set in this planet, but not that much better. This one is about Sabine, who has to get information from Leia. They just run through some corridors, place some paint bombs, and then get the information, and then run into IG-88. Honestly, it was cool to see him because I think that's the only time we've seen him in canon outside of the 5 seconds he was in Empire. But he really doesn't do that much. He just slowly rocks, stands almost completely still, and he shoots a little. And then the stormtroopers go after him, and it's the most hilariously bad aimed shots ever. It's like, and if you wanted a canon example of how bad shots stormtroopers are, look at that clip. This episode is much more enjoyable than the last, and IG-88's appearance was cool, but I sort of was disappointed that he didn't do really anything at all. Sabine honestly didn't do much either, and considering this is her episode, that's really disappointing. I don't think she even fired her blasters. Well, I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. It was entertaining. Well, guys, that was the individual reviews for the first half of Force of Destiny, the first 8 episodes. And now I want to talk about what my thoughts are on the series as a whole, or at least the first half of the series, but I don't think it's going to change that much, so this is basically just my overall thoughts. Well, if you guys didn't get the memo by the past 8 thoughts that I've been sharing, the series has been kind of hit or miss for me. I've definitely liked the Clone Wars ones a lot. Those are the ones that have connected with me the most. I'm not a huge fan of the animation style. I mean, but I understand why they did it, because they're not going to put their entire 3D animation budget on a show that's being released online. That should give you a sense of how much effort they're putting into the show. They're releasing it on YouTube. I think they put more money into the advertisement and the marketing for the show than the actual show itself. The show as a whole, the episodes feel like deleted scenes, which I said in the first individual review. I like that, but I also don't like that, because with deleted scenes, they're deleted for a reason. Some deleted scenes I like, and sometimes I wish that specific deleted scenes were in the film. And other deleted scenes, I understand why that was cut. With the raid scenes, they feel totally unnecessary, and I did not need to spend any more time on Jakku understanding the Night Watcher worm, or that Unkar Plutt sent some thugs on some speeders to go get BB-8, and then the Night Watcher worm ate those dudes. I didn't need that. As I said before, I feel like they could have just put done that on Dakar and have Rey explore the Resistance base and have some shenanigans or something, I don't know. But yeah, they definitely do feel like deleted scenes. Some good, some bad. Style. I don't really like the short, the way that they do shorts, because 2 to 3 minutes is not enough time for me to get invested in the plot, and there's barely a plot at all. And yes, I understand this is for younger viewers, and I understand that it may not be for people like me, but I feel like they didn't have to make this. Why did they have to feel like they have to make a show that appeals to younger viewers when younger viewers have already kind of got invested with the Clone Wars and Rebels, you know? The Clone Wars and Rebels are for the younger kids. And I'm not even gonna get into the feminism controversy. You guys can all have your own opinions about that. I personally don't have a problem with it all being female characters. I can see why people do have a problem with it, but I personally do not. Overall, I'm going to give the first half of Forces of Destiny a 6 out of 10. Well guys, I'm sure when the next 8 episodes come out in the fall, I'm going to review all those. Perhaps in individual videos for each episode, and then maybe an overall review, or maybe I'll just do like this, just one big video concluding all of it. Who knows? Anyways guys, it's been like a week since I've released a video, so I just want to say thanks. Maybe we can get to 200 before the end of July. I'm going to try and be getting some more videos up to you guys because I've kind of been in a hiatus, so I'm going to try and get more videos out to you guys more often. And please make sure to subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already, and like this video because it really goes a long way. See you guys next time. Star Wars Dude out.